Welcome back to my monthly reading wrap up. If you've been watching my videos since the beginning of the year, obviously this is a new setup. My husband and I just moved, and I actually did a video on YouTube transforming this spare room into my book room. So go watch that. It was very fun to film. I love organizing and decorating, and it was just a very fun and creative thing to do. So I had a lot of fun making that video. Today we are going to talk about all of the books that I read in May and also my June reading prompt. For the month of May, my reading prompt was reading books that no one is talking about. I consider myself very up to date with things in the book world, new releases, authors, different things like that. And so I chose books that I have not seen anybody talk about. I haven't seen any reviews on these books, anyone wanting to read them or talking about them. So that's why I thought it would be fun to choose this type of reading prompt. We had one YA romance, I guess you could say, one memoir, one science fiction book, and one historical fiction, which I listened to on audio. But that is enough of an intro. Let's get into the video. We'll start with the historical fiction first. I read The Story Keeper by Kelly Rimmer. This was an advanced reader copy I got of this book, but I got the audiobook version. So I have a completely separate review on my TikTok that if you want to know about this book and my thoughts on it, go watch that video. But I don't really want to do reviews of advanced reader copies on my YouTube. I just want to give you reviews of books that are already out so you can just go out and buy them. The first book that I read in May was In Time With You by Kristen Dwyer. Now, to be fair, this book came out in March, so really hasn't been out that long. However, with all the different what I want to read in 2026 or romances to look out for or YA books to look out for, I have not seen this book talked about at all. So that's why I decided to choose it for this reading prompt. I also kind of just wanted a lighter book than the other two books that I read, just something to kind of ease into the heavier books and genres that I read this month. This is a really interesting story, and I feel like it's definitely been done before, but the way that the author kind of made it her own was really fun. So we're following Neve, who is dealing with the loss of her boyfriend in a drowning accident. She feels responsible for him drowning, and his best friend blames her for this accident. One day she wakes up and it is a year before she's even with her boyfriend. And so she kind of has this internal decision of, do I want to be with him again, which will then lead him to his death? Or do I just want to not be with him at all and risk never having that relationship ever again? But the author does something really interesting with the storyline, and it actually is kind of like a second chance romance, but it's with her boyfriend's best friend who doesn't like her. I don't know, I've just never read a story where you have a second chance romance with someone who you were never with and also someone who doesn't really like you. But this is a time jump story, and those don't really make sense to me because there's never really an explanation of how she time traveled a year in the past. And I think at one point the author tried to explain it to make it make sense. There was also something about yarn that had to do with the time travel that I just didn't even understand. Thought it was fun for just what it was, basically a second chance romance and a time travel love story. It is also set at a college, so you kind of get like academia vibes there. But overall, I think I gave this 3 stars. This is also a YA book, so maybe that's part of why I didn't like it, because I don't really gravitate towards YA books. But if you like all of that, then maybe you would like this. Then we have the only physical book that I read this month, and that was The Merge by Grace Walker. The reason I chose this for the reading prompt is because I would see this in the new releases section at Barnes & Noble, and it always caught my eye because I think the cover is so interesting. And yeah, this story, I have not seen it on social media anywhere. We are following we are following Amelia and her mom, Lori. Lori was just diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and there is a new government-funded program where you can merge 2 people together. Both of their minds merge into one person. So you decide whose body you basically want to keep, and then that other person's mind will be in their mind as well. So they're going through the process of this merge and going through not necessarily classes, but training, I don't know, like just courses, I guess, to get to know the process of merging and what to expect, what emotions you'll feel, physical things that will be different. But of course, there are secrets that have to do with this process of merging. Story-wise, I feel like there were a lot of plot holes that had to do with the process of merging, and then also the different characters that we got to know who are also merging with each other. There just were some inconsistencies. Of course, there are things that you are being told and then you yourself have to question as the reader, is that person lying, or are they, what are their true motives? So that aside, because I understand that there are things that different government people working with the merge are, you know, not always being completely honest, but just in terms of the story itself, some things I just felt like certain things weren't adding up. I think I gave this book 3.5 stars because I did enjoy the journey and the suspense was definitely there. But I feel like most of the plot twists and secrets coming out happened maybe 10 pages before the end. This really wasn't a complicated story. I don't know why I can't just verbally tell you what I'm feeling or how the story left me. That's how I feel about the merge, and I would never merge with anybody. Not that there's a program like that as far as I know, but I just would never do that. And the last book that I read in May was The Last Sweet Mile by Alan Levi. So I did see Alan Levi talk about this book, but in terms of other book creators or even at the bookstore or reviews, I have not seen anybody talk about this book. Only Theo of Golden, which is fair. I love Theo of Golden. So this is a memoir that he wrote about his brother and his battle with brain cancer. This was more so about the last year that they had together, but it did touch on their childhood growing up. And I love reading books about siblings because I don't have any siblings, so just that dynamic in general is very interesting to me. Like, I can't even imagine what it would be like to have a sibling. I gave this book, I think, like 4.5 stars. Like, I really loved this story and it was just beautiful. All right, now for the fun part. I love talking about my reading prompts that I do every month. It is just, again, such a fun way to find different authors, find different books that I wouldn't normally read. It's very fun to stick to the reading prompts and choose what kind of lines I want to stay in that month. But in saying that, June's reading prompt will be my picks. I decided in June I want to read whatever I want. June is my birthday month. My birthday has already passed, but for the whole month, I just wanted to choose whatever I wanted to read. The first book that I desperately want to read in June is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. I still can't stop thinking about When in Rome, and I read that in February, but again, with these reading prompts, I'm really trying to stick to the reading prompt and not even have like one free book. In this story, we're following Annie, who is one of Noah's sisters, and in the first book, we are following Noah and Amelia. This book, we follow Noah's sister, Annie, and Will, who is Amelia's bodyguard. She owns a flower shop in their small little town of Rome, Kentucky, and honestly, I don't even care what the actual storyline is. I think it's like a fake dating trope or something like that. I really don't even care. I just love the writing, love the characters, love the town, so I will be reading this in June. I also really want to read The Burning Side by Sarah Damoff. I read The Bright Years by her last year, obviously it was last year, and I am still sticking at, like, that story is still sticking in my mind. I just love the way that she writes. It's just so beautiful and lyrical, but also very digestible. It's not too flowery, I guess. In this story, we are following April and Leo, and their house burns down, which also I think kind of resembles their marriage and how it is also burning down. And so they're just having to deal with change, and I think this story touches on obviously marriage, but also just trust and secrets and different things like that. I don't really know. I honestly, again, same with Practice Makes Perfect, I don't care. I just love these authors so much that whatever they write, I just will read it. So again, not too sure about this. what I just told you is exactly what I know, but I am just predicting that this is a 5-star read, just as The Bright Years was. So I typically read 3 to 4 books in a month. I will usually do 3 physical books and then 1 audiobook. So I kind of have one picked out for the month of June, but I don't know which one I want to do for my other physical book. I'm in between 2 that I can't decide on. So I'm either going to do Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney, or I'm gonna do My Husband's Wife. This is the book she released last year in 2025, and then this one is her 2026 release. I've heard very mixed things about this book. People either love the twist in it or they don't. And with this one, I have not seen many favorable things about. These ones have kind of a similar, not really a similar storyline, but in this one, a man, is looking for his wife. She goes missing, and then a year later, he goes to a Scottish island, and there he sees a woman who looks exactly like his missing wife. We don't know. We will find out. Or there's this one, and the premise of this is basically that a woman goes for a run, comes back to her house, her key doesn't work. She knocks on the door. A woman who looks just like her opens the door, and her husband comes to the door and says that he doesn't know who she is. Okay, what's going on here? So I don't know if that makes sense, but to me these sound kind of similar. But either way, for the month of June, I will be reading one of these. I don't really know. We will see, but I kind of just wanted to switch up the genres a little bit with having a literary fiction, a romance, and then maybe like a mystery thriller. Those are all the books that I read in May. That is what I want to read in June. Let me know if you've read any of those. Out of all the books that I'm going to read or want to read in June, I am probably the most excited for The Burning Side. Sarah Damoff, her writing is just so insane to me. It's like I just get lost in the book. But I hope you have a great day and a great reading month, and I will see you in the next one.